In this video, I'll be going over some muscles and their locations, some key terms relating to the muscles, and some movements made by muscles. To start, here's some muscles. This is the frontalis. These are the sternocleidomastoid muscles. These are the pectoralis major muscles. These are the trapezius muscles. Here is the teres minor and the teres major. This is the deltoid. These are the bicep brachii and the triceps brachii. Here is the rectus abdominis. Here is the gluteus maximus and the gluteus medius. Here are the adductors, which consist of 5 parts: the pectoneus, the adductor brevis, the adductor longus, the adductor magnus, and the gracilis. This here is the sartorius. And finally, here is the gastrocnemius muscle and the soleus muscle. When you exercise, you constrict and contract your muscles. An isometric contraction is when there is muscle tension without any movement or change in proportion. An example is when you're holding a plank position. An isotonic contraction is when there is muscle movement through the shortening and or lengthening of said muscle. Furthermore, concentric and eccentric movements are names of the examples of movements listed under isotonic contractions. When you're holding something, you're using your muscles, but the shape of the muscle itself is not moving. This is an isometric contraction. When you flex your muscle, the shape of the muscle is crushing inward. There's a force to shrink and shorten your muscle. This is called a concentric contraction. When you are exerting more energy to hold something outside of your usual range distal from your body, you are lengthening or stretching your muscle. This is called an eccentric contraction. Let's go over some muscular rotations. Knee flexion and knee extension. Knee flexion and knee extension. Hip flexion and hip extension. Hip flexion and hip extension. Hip adduction and hip abduction. Hip adduction and hip abduction. And finally, the wrist pronation and wrist supination. Wrist pronation and wrist supination. To reflect, the term I found hardest to understand at first were the difference between isotonic and isometric movements. To me, the body still moves regardless of voluntary movement, but I did not realize at first that isotonic movement did not consider this autonomous movement at all.